Welcome back for another deep dive. We're going to be looking at, something pretty fascinating today. Some new developments in the art world, AI and art.
Yeah, it's certainly a hot topic these days.
It is. And specifically, we're going to be diving into Midjourney.
Ah, yes.
That AI program that lets you create visuals, sometimes really stunning visuals, just by typing in words.
Just a few words.
Yeah. And we were lucky enough to get an interview with the founder and CEO of Midjourney, David Holz. And he shared some pretty, thought-provoking insights into AI and art and where it's all heading. So that begs the question, what happens when anyone can create really incredible artwork with just a few keystrokes? Is this like the next evolution in art?
Or the end of art as we know it.
Yeah, right?
A lot of people are asking that.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things is that Holtz really emphasizes that Midjourney's goal is to actually expand human imagination, not to replace it.
Okay.
So they see AI as a tool, kind of like to help us be more creative, instead of something that's going to, take over the creative process.
Right. But that sounds a little idealistic, doesn't it? I mean, this is a program that can basically create art for you.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that actually expand imagination?
Well, think about it this way. Midjourney is built on this huge data set of images and styles. It's like having, like every art museum in the world at your fingertips. All these different artistic styles.
Yeah, all that inspiration.
Right. You can blend those styles. You can experiment with different concepts.
Oh,
You can explore ideas visually in a way that you maybe couldn't before.
that's interesting.
I think that's where that expansion of imagination comes in.
That makes a lot of sense. So you're drawing on this massive library of inspiration. And Holtz did mention they have millions of users already, like the biggest active Discord server out there. It's pretty amazing.
It is.
It seems like people are they're excited about this and they want to play with it.
Yeah. I think it speaks to this kind of desire to create that we all have. And Midjourney's made it so much more accessible,
Right, like you don't have...
You don't have to spend years learning how to paint or sculpt.
Yeah, and some people just don't have the time for that.
Right.
But they still have that creative urge.
And it lets them express themselves visually.
Totally. And he also mentioned that professional artists are using this too.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just, people experimenting or hobbyists.
Absolutely.
It's actually like becoming part of the workflow for professional creatives. He even gave this example of a really well-known character designer who's using Midjourney to help him create the backgrounds for his work. And this guy's an incredible artist already.
That's really fascinating to me. It shows that even really skilled artists, people at the top of their game, they're finding value in these AI tools.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about replacing their skills. It's more like augmenting them.
Yeah.
Maybe helping them overcome weaknesses.
Right.
Or giving them new ideas, like new creative avenues to explore.
Yeah, new ways to think about what they're doing. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's not just a fun experiment. It has real business applications. He even mentioned that they offer like a corporate license for bigger companies.
Oh, wow. Think about the possibilities there, right?
Yeah.
Like companies can use Midjourney to create ad campaigns.
I was just thinking that.
Or product designs, or maybe even generate entire branding strategies.
That's a little scary.
Yeah. It raises some pretty big questions.
Yeah, it does. Like, will we start to see companies just using AI for their visuals instead of hiring an artist?
Yeah. Are artists going to be out of a job?
Exactly.
That's a big concern for people in creative fields.
Huge concern.
Yeah. But before we get into that too deeply, let's take a look at how Midjourney actually works.
Okay.
Because the core of this is this huge data set that Holtz described as this big scrape of the internet.
A scrape? So they're like, what, taking images from all over the web?
Exactly. They're basically feeding the AI with visual information.
Okay.
From, pretty much everywhere.
Like giving it a crash course in art.
Yeah, it's like giving it a crash course in art history and design principles and different visual styles from all different cultures and time periods.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. And then the AI uses that information to generate new images based on what people tell it to make.
So I'm really curious now, what kind of data are we talking about? And then how does that actually translate into creating an image? What kind of images are we talking about here?
I mean, it's a lot. Holtz described it as, images from publicly available sources online, including open data sets, basically a gigantic digital art library encompassing, all sorts of styles and genres and subjects.
Okay, so we're talking everything, like classic paintings to modern photography.
Yeah, digital art, everything. It's all in there.
Oh, wow. Okay, but then how does the AI actually use all this data to create something new, something that hasn't been seen before?
Well, I guess you could think of it like this. Imagine, imagine learning to paint. You study the great masters, observe different techniques, and then you experiment.
Yeah, you develop your own style.
Right. You develop your own approach based on everything you've learned. And that's essentially what Midjourney is doing.
Mm-hmm.
It analyzes the patterns, the relationships, and all those artistic elements within that massive data set, and then uses that to create images based on what people tell it to make.
So you're saying if I type in, I don't know, a cat wearing a spacesuit riding a unicorn on the moon, it could actually create that image.
It probably could.
That's pretty wild.
It's like having, a superpower art assistant.
Yeah.
That can just translate your wildest ideas into a visual. And what's even cooler is that you can refine the results.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can add, details to your prompt, specify the style you want, the mood, the colors, even the composition.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, you can get really specific.
But it also makes me think about, all those artists whose work is being used in this data set?
Right.
They might not even know that their art is being used to train an AI.
Yeah, it definitely raises some questions about intellectual property and, how artists can protect their work in this new world.
For sure. Did Holz address that at all?
Yeah, he did. I mean, he acknowledged, how complex it all is, and that they are looking at, ways for artists to at least be aware of.
To know if their work is in the data set.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're thinking about transparency.
They are.
Okay.
But to be honest, the logistics of it all,
yeah,
managing a data set that big and verifying the ownership of all those images, it's really daunting. It's completely uncharted territory,
Absolutely.
Finding solutions that work for everybody, it's going to take time.
Yeah, no doubt. But let's talk about something that's probably on a lot of artists' minds right now. How is this going to affect their careers?
Right.
If AI can generate art, why would anyone hire a human artist?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
But Holtz argued that even though, AI can create images quickly, it still takes human skill and creativity to really refine those images.
Yeah.
And make them into something that's unique.
Yeah.
Commercially viable.
Yeah, you can't just push a button and
exactly
have a masterpiece.
It's not quite that simple yet.
Right.
And I think that's where human artists still have the edge,
So it's more of a collaboration between the artist and the AI.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
He sees AI as a tool to help artists work more efficiently, to explore new ideas, maybe, push the boundaries of what's possible.
Interesting. So you think people are still willing to pay for that human touch?
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. People will pay for quality and originality, regardless of, how it was made.
Okay, I buy that. I can see that. But I'm still, I don't know, I'm a little skeptical. Some areas like concept art or background design, those seem really vulnerable to AI,
Yeah. You're right. Those fields are all about speed and efficiency, which AI is really good at. But Holtz argued that the market will actually shift towards higher quality and more diverse content as AI tools become better. And that could lead to, more demand for skilled artists who can actually use AI effectively.
So he's saying it might actually create more opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, it's about adaptation, Think about photography. When it first came out, some painters saw it as a threat, and others embraced it as a new tool for artistic expression.
That's a good point. So is AI good or bad for artists? Can we even answer that question?
I don't know if it's about, good or bad.
Okay.
It's about how we choose to integrate it into the creative process.
Right.
The future of art depends on how artists adapt and evolve.
It really feels like we're in this brand new territory. And it's not just about the technology itself. It's about how we as humans
adapt to it.
Yeah, adapt.
Yeah.
And how we define art.
And what creativity even means in this new world.
Yeah. This has really given me a lot to think about. What about you? What's the big takeaway for you?
What really stood out to me was that the lines are getting blurred. The whole definition of artist is changing. It's becoming more fluid.
Okay.
We're moving beyond this idea that art is only created with, paintbrushes or chisels.
Right, the traditional tool.
Yeah, exactly. AI is becoming another tool. It's pushing us to rethink what art even is.
It's what is art, right? It's not about replacing human creativity. It's more about what we can create.
Expanding those possibilities.
Yeah, exactly.
And, it's like photography.
Ah, yes, the photography analogy.
Right. When it first came out, it was a huge threat.
A threat to painters.
Yeah. But then look what happened. It didn't destroy painting. It led to all these new movements and styles.
Yeah.
New ways of seeing the world.
Absolutely.